One of the biggest things that people overlook on their homes for curbside appeal is their garage doors. Yeah, garage doors can be one of the first things people see when they pull in. So you always want your garage doors to look really nice, especially if you're thinking about possibly putting your house up for sale. I'm going to replace some of the trim at the bottom. I'm going to put a couple coats of paint on it. I'm going to make it look a lot better. Coming right up. In this case right here, this garage door here, you can see that it looks like it was caulked at one time. For some reason, the caulking is all peeled away. You obviously have some paint that needs to be scraped off. This particular garage door right here has got some rotted wood at the bottom. The carpenter comes in and they'll apply this piece of trim here. They'll apply it before it is painted. The bottoms are not primed, and what happens is moisture sucks up through the bottom of this piece of trim. The water will just end up just eating it all out. It's very important if you put new trim on your home, you'll want to prime and paint the bottom of the trim before you install it, and never put your trim all the way down on the ground itself, because that'll suck moisture up too. So that happens. That's a pretty common problem with garage doors. I'm also going to fix a few of these places where the mortar has cracked and get them looking a lot better. Yeah, this is what happens right here. Whenever moisture can get to that piece of wood, and that piece of wood was not properly treated at the bottom, that moisture is like a sponge, and that moisture just comes right on up. And you can see this whole piece of wood right here is just totally gone. Completely ate up. So, if you're going to start a project like this, one of the first things that you will do is go ahead and just figure on replacing trim like that. There's no way you can try to patch something like this and make it look good. And even if you try to, it's just going to become a mess again. It definitely leads to a lot of problems. Now, once you got the rough stuff torn out, when you got areas like this right here, where you can see where the old caulking has bunched up, I'll take a chisel like this right here and a hammer, and I'll just go down through there and I'll clean all that up right there. You can see I kind of started doing it right here, and it works pretty good. So you just want to get the whole area clean and ready for the new wood to go back on. You can see I removed the brick mold, which the brick mold is this piece that goes right on top here. It's kind of like a trim piece. This is a 2x6, and when they put the 2x6s on, they didn't prime the underneath side of it, the end cut, and so it was able to suck moisture up. So you can see that it's just falling apart. Completely coming apart. So you're going to run into this with most garages. If they didn't do it properly, you know, the carpenters didn't pay attention. By the time the painters came in, the wood was already installed, so the painters just painted what they could. Hopefully builders learn their lesson through the years. Now, at least use treated wood. Don't set it all the way down on the concrete, and still, when you make that cut, prime the inside and paint the inside of it so that wouldn't happen. I'll cut this piece about right here, cut it out, replace it with a new piece, and go. You don't have to tear the whole piece out all the way up and down. That right there is one of the most dangerous cuts you can ever make. So unless you are highly experienced with tools and know how to use a saw like this, do not even attempt to try to cut that. There's so many things that can go wrong so fast when you're trying to cut a stationary piece of wood like that. So that is only for the highly skilled carpenters out there that can handle a saw to try that. If not, if you're a beginner, please let somebody else cut that for you, and then you can do the painting and the caulking if you want. But those cuts right there, only for the very skilled. There's what happens when the bottom is not sealed. It happens when the homes were built, especially years ago. When the carpenter cut the piece of wood, he cut it off square like this, and then he installed it. And he either installed it right down on top of the concrete floor, which was a big no-no, or even if he gave a little bit of space right there. This should have at least had some primer and paint put on it, or maybe even a piece of aluminum cap put on this to keep moisture from drawing up this piece of wood right here. It's like a sponge whenever you cut the bottom off, and that's what just sucks all that moisture up throughout the years. Now this house has been here for a lot of years, but you can see what happens, and that's due to moisture. Now insects, once it gets wet and becomes like a sponge, then insects start getting in there, ants start getting in there, termites, everything else, and it just becomes a feeding frenzy for them. Becomes like a smorgasbord. So now I've went ahead and cut that piece out, and actually the piece I'm going to replace it with is actually going to be treated wood. Yeah, once I get the piece of treated wood back on there and it's primed and painted and caulked, it should last 30 plus years, no problem. Yeah, when I removed this piece of wood here, you can actually see the original 2x6 was put on before the concrete was poured. The original piece actually went down inside, and then they poured concrete around it, which just encased it, and all that moisture. Concrete floors will sweat constantly, so that was just getting a constant stream of moisture. Now you can also see on this one here, there's a possibility of some termites or carpenter ants have been eating on the wood. Nothing looks real fresh. We're going to check that out, make sure that it's not active, and do a little treatment on that so we'll solve any problem we might have there too. But a lot of times those insects are drawn because that piece got so spongy, like an entranceway, super highway for bugs and carpenter ants and things like that to get in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and seal the bottom. I've got some Power Grab Ultimate, and that is a Loctite product. Put some of it on the bottom. Even though it is a glue, it will go on there and it will completely seal this bottom so no moisture can get up there. Now you don't have to use something like this. You could use a primer, you could use a paint, anything to seal that off, but something like this is really almost putting like a complete cap on the bottom of it. There'd be so many less problems if that was sealed before the carpenters put it on. Carpenters don't paint, carpenters put them on, painter shows up, the wood's already on there, no way to get a brush underneath there. I understand how it happens. Okay, there's about the gap that I like to have underneath there, at least a 1/4 inch, 1/4 to 3/8 underneath there. That bottom is now sealed. I like using the construction screws because they really tighten the wood up nice. You don't have all that pounding going on when you try to drive a nail. And in a case like with a home like this where you've got some of the brick that have kind of split apart, You really don't want to be beating a nail in and causing the vibration and maybe causing these bricks to come loose. Okay, got the new trim pieces on. Looking pretty good. Pretty happy with the way everything is going. Pieces at the bottom. I notice there's some pretty good gaps in this trim. And you can see it right here. Right there, it goes back behind that brick. I think I'm going to go grab a can of that expandable foam and spray it in there and let it expand. And what that'll do is then whenever I go back to caulk it, the caulk has a backing to it. Right now, if I try to caulk that, the caulking's going to want to go back behind there, and it's just an endless void back there. So I don't want to waste a ton of caulking, and I also don't want the caulking to sink. Okay, so the project's coming along pretty good. Got all the new trim put on. Put the first coat of caulking on it. You want to be sure and sand down your garage door to get any specks. You know, you might have fly eggs, you just might have specks of dirt on there. And then once you get it all sanded down, you want to wash it down really good and make sure it's totally clean. Wipe it down. You can apply. Most garage doors like this one here will take at least 2 coats of paint in order to make it right. And then all the center pieces you see, I will roll those with a 4-inch roller. This particular job right here, I used Sherwin-Williams Resilience Exterior Satin Finish. Turned out pretty nice. It's probably about a 2 or 3 day project by the time you get everything done, and that is the total repairs, the sanding, the cleaning, the caulking, and the painting. The garage doors are one of the few things that people don't paint that should, because when you pull up to a lot of houses, it's the first thing you see is the garage doors. Hey, I appreciate you coming to the channel. That's LAF Space Film Fest, capital LAF Space Film Fest. Hey, if you would, hammer down that subscribe button. I appreciate it. Hey, helps me to put out videos. Just in case you need to do some work on your garage doors, if you watch this video, go step by step. You might be able to take care of it okay. Or maybe you have family and friends that need help with their garage doors. Share this video. I would appreciate it. And you have a good day.